Hey guys, if you have been watching any of my most recent videos, lately I have been trying to focus on news-related topics such as the changes with Hockey Night in Canada and the recent announcement about expansion in the NHL to Las Vegas. Now, for this video, I'm going to be taking a detour from the news stories, and this one's going to be more of a fun video, because for this video I'm going to be sharing my thoughts on all of the outdoor jerseys from the 03-04 Heritage Classic all the way to this past season's outdoor games in the 2015-16 season. However, I'm going to split this into two videos, because I originally tried to make one video about all of the jerseys, but when I was finished with the video, it was over 40 minutes in length. And with that, what I've decided to do is, for this video, I will be talking about the outdoor jerseys for the Heritage Classic and Winter Classic up to this past 2015-16 season, and then I'll do a second video sharing my thoughts on the Stadium Series jerseys. So before I really get started, I'm going to quickly mention the 2003-2004 Heritage Classic, and I'm not going to go into a whole lot of detail about that, because the jerseys that the Oilers and Canadians wore in that game are what they actually wear now as their home and away jerseys. So I'm not really going to go into too much detail about that game because of that. But I will mention this. Did you know that that game was actually CBC's very first high-definition televised hockey game? I thought that was really cool when I heard that, and I only learned about that recently, to be honest. But yeah, so that was not only CBC's very first high-definition telecast of a hockey game, but it was also a trial run for the eventual Winter Classic that began in the 2007-2008 season. Now, I also know there was an outdoor game in 1991 between the Rangers and Kings at Caesars Palace in Las Vegas, but I'm not going to go into that because it was just a preseason game and both teams didn't wear anything special in terms of jerseys. But anyways, I'm going to move on to the Winter Classic jerseys. So, with that, here's the 07-08 match between the Sabres and Penguins in Buffalo. And when I look at these two jerseys, all I can say is wow. I mean, I can't believe that the Buffalo Sabres continue to wear navy blue and gold versions of the original royal blue and gold jerseys with vertical piping and gray pit stains. They just don't look anywhere near as good as this jersey, and in my personal opinion, royal blue and gold has become a ridiculously underused color scheme in professional sports these days. And I don't know why, because it is such a nice color scheme, and I think it's ridiculous that there isn't at least one NHL team or NFL team that wears royal blue and gold on a full-time basis. And I think the Buffalo Sabres need to go back to this original jersey as soon as possible, because as much as I know that there's also a lot of people that love the red, black, and silver era, in my opinion, Buffalo's jerseys that they've worn from 1996 all the way to 20 years later till now in 2016, in my opinion, don't even come close to the original jerseys that Buffalo wore back in 1970 all the way till 96. And I just hope that when Adidas takes over, the Sabres will finally, instead of going to something close to their original look, they'll just go back to the original royal blue and gold jerseys. Now, as for the Pittsburgh Penguins, This jersey is absolutely gorgeous as well, and I absolutely love it. It's one of my personal favorites, and I just love the shade of baby blue. And for a team called the Penguins, I couldn't really think of a better color scheme than powder blue, navy blue, and white. But you know what? As much as I love this jersey, since the Penguins logo has a yellow triangle behind it, the truth is I think their 91-92 jerseys that they've thankfully gone back to full time are my absolute favorite in terms of the Penguins. And both of their new home and away jerseys are actually two of my personal favorites. And now that the Penguins have thankfully gone back to black and Pittsburgh gold, I think that if they decide to have a third jersey, I hope that they wear this one and bring it back yet again, even though they've had it as a third jersey for a few years after this Winter Classic. And if they don't make this their third jersey, they should at least decide to wear this as a special throwback jersey for 2 or 3 games a season, because I think it is that good of a jersey. And I think it's kind of a shame that they don't wear it anymore. But anyways, I'm going to move on. And once again, this is yet another beautiful looking outdoor game. And I absolutely love this Cougars throwback the Red Wings decided to wear for this game. I thought it was a very nice throwback. And as for the Chicago jersey you can see here, it is absolutely one of my personal favorites as well. I love that jersey. And I understand why Chicago doesn't have a third jersey anymore, because they really don't need it. Their home and away jerseys are arguably two of the best in the sport of hockey. And I'm being dead serious when I say that. They are arguably two of the best. And the thing is, as much as I like Chicago's jerseys, I really love this jersey. I absolutely love it. And I think it's a shame that they don't have it as a third jersey anymore. And I wish that Chicago would allow this jersey to be worn for 2 or 3 games a season at least as a throwback. Because if there's any jersey that I think should see some time on NHL ice, it should be this Blackhawks throwback. It is such a nice uniform. And for 2 or 3 games a season as a throwback, even if Chicago decides to not have a third jersey, they should at least wear it as a throwback. At least in my opinion. And once again, another beautiful Winter Classic game. Now, I'm going to move on to the 2010 Winter Classic between the Bruins and Flyers. And once again, 2 excellent jerseys. And with the Flyers, that jersey was so well received by their fans that they decided to say screw it, and they went back to the Broad Street Bully look full time, and I'm glad that they did. The Flyers' original jerseys are so nice, and it's so nice to see them wearing those jerseys again full time. And this is also another one of my personal favorites. I absolutely love the white and orange. And as for this Boston Bruins jersey, it actually really pisses me off to see this jersey here, because I still can't believe that after all these years, Boston has never made this beautiful gold jersey their third jersey. It is worlds better than the 2008 third jersey that they've been wearing for 8 years now. And I would even say that it's even quite a bit better than this past season's Winter Classic jersey that the Bruins brought out. And it is such a beautiful uniform. I can't believe that they don't even wear it for 2 or 3 games as a special throwback or something like that. I mean, if there's any jersey that needs to make a comeback, in my opinion, it's this gold Bruins jersey. It's so beautiful, and I think it's kind of a crime that they haven't brought it back. It needs to make a comeback. Such a beautiful uniform. And now moving on to the 2011 Winter Classic between the Capitals and Penguins. And to be honest, this was one of my least favorite Winter Classic games. In fact, it was my second least favorite. And I didn't care for it as much because Washington decided to randomly wear a red helmet with their white uniform. And for myself, it just never made much sense. And as far as I know, there has never been any historical time where the Capitals have ever worn a red helmet with their white jersey. But at least that jersey was half decent, and especially compared to the Penguins one here, at least in my opinion. And that Capitals one is a great one, and they should go back to that look full time, in my opinion. But with this Penguins jersey, for this Winter Classic, after wearing the powder blue one in the 08 Winter Classic and keeping it as a third jersey after that game, I thought it was a good idea on Pittsburgh's part to come up with a navy blue jersey instead of a powder blue 1967 throwback, which is the one that has the same striping as this, except it's powder blue with this striping in navy blue, and it says Pittsburgh on the front, which is actually why in 1992 the Penguins had a black and yellow jersey that said Pittsburgh along the front of it. But anyways, I thought this jersey was a nice touch. And did you know that this jersey was actually the only uniform in the Penguins' history that's ever had the fat skating penguin with a scarf on the front as a logo, on the front crest of the jersey? And the thing with that logo that's pretty interesting is that was actually their very first logo back in 1967. But because the Penguins' very first jerseys were white and powder blue and said Pittsburgh on the front, their logo was nowhere to be found. And I thought it was really cool that for this special jersey, the Penguins made a faux back that actually put this logo on the front of a jersey for the very first time. And I also thought it was cool that they made it navy blue, especially after having the powder blue throwback that they brought in for the 08 Winter Classic. And I thought this was a very nice faux back jersey when they brought it out. And the thing is, as a faux back, it was good, but the problem I've had with that jersey is that besides the one game, I honestly thought it was good for one game and that's it. I've never really been a big fan of that jersey, and I've also hated the vintage white on this uniform. I felt that it should have been white, and I think it would have been a lot better if the numbers, letters, and logo were white instead of vintage white. And this jersey was just too dark, and I did not care for all these little stripes that were all clumped together on the arms. I just thought it was a little too much. And I just don't know what it was, but I never cared for the vintage white on the navy blue and powder blue uniform, and it just didn't look right to me. And I'm glad that Pittsburgh got rid of it, and I still think that after this game, they should have retired it after this game and not have replaced the 07-08 Winter Classic jersey. But anyways, for this game it was okay, but I wish they would have never worn it anything beyond that. Definitely not one of my favorite jerseys, that's for darn sure. Now, that jersey here, though, this Penguins jersey, was a faux back. And a faux back is any time a team makes a jersey that is not actually a throwback, that's inspired by their past or the past history of another team or hockey history in a city. Pretty much, a faux back is not a true throwback. The team just takes parts of their past or the past hockey history in that city and put it all together in a jersey. And speaking of faux backs, that's what the Flyers and Rangers did back in 2012. And this actually produced a pretty decent looking matchup. And I've always loved that Flyers jersey you see here on the left. I mean, I would never want to see it replace their home and away jerseys, but as an alternate, I think it's awesome. And I love the vintage white accents on it and the black numbers. And I think it's a very sharp jersey, and I'm so glad they made it their third jersey not this past season, but the 2014-15 season. Great jersey in my opinion. And as for this New York Rangers jersey, I think it's cool that the Rangers came up with a special faux back for this game in vintage white and navy blue. Now, I would not want to see this jersey all the time, but I think it's cool that the Rangers came up with something new, especially because the Rangers, for the most part, haven't done too much with their jerseys, though I think that's a good thing. And the The Rangers are a lot like Montreal, where they really haven't made a whole hell of a lot of significant changes to their uniforms over the years. And I thought that as a throwback, this was a really nice touch, especially using the old Shield logo. And for this Winter Classic game, I thought it was a very nice jersey. I would not want to see it all the time, and I wouldn't even want to see it as a third jersey, but as a throwback or a special throwback in this case, I thought it was a very nice touch. And also, speaking of this jersey, the New York Rangers actually just brought out a 90th anniversary logo. And it's got a 9, and instead of a 0, it's got this logo right here on the front of this jersey, and it says 90th. And it's going to be on the shoulders of their jerseys this upcoming 16-17 season. And I'm kind of wondering if maybe, just maybe, the Rangers may be thinking about bringing this uniform back for a game or two this coming season. And truth is, I think that would be awesome if they did, but I kind of have a feeling that they're probably not going to do it. But boy, would that ever be nice. And once again, another decent Winter Classic matchup, and I thought this one was quite a step up from this one. But anyways, I'm going to move on again to the Red Wings and Maple Leafs. And the interesting thing about this game here was that this game was actually delayed by a year thanks to the NHL's stupid lockout in the 2012-13 season, which canceled half the season. And this matchup was the very first outdoor color versus color match, and I think it's the very first color versus color match in the NHL in a very long time. And the red versus blue at Ann Arbor Stadium in Michigan in front of over 100,000 fans was awesome. And first off, before I talk about the Red Wings uniform, I absolutely loved this Toronto throwback. I thought it was such a nice jersey. And now that the Maple Leafs have got new home and away jerseys, I really hope that they finally retire the 67 throwback and replace it with this, because for an original 6 team such as Toronto, I think this would be the perfect third jersey for them. Even if they wore it 2 or 3 times a year as a special throwback, I think this is an awesome jersey, and I would love to see Toronto wear it more often. And if I had my way, this jersey here would at least be their third jersey. Now, as for this Red Wings uniform, I thought it was a very nice faux back jersey. I thought it was cool that they took their special number and letter font that they wore exclusively in the 1982-83 season. Only for that one season they decided to randomly wear that number and letter font. And I think it's super cool that the Red Wings brought that back for this special uniform. And I thought that the solid red jersey with the vintage white accents was a very nice faux back uniform for a game. Now, it's not my favorite jersey because I don't really care for red and vintage white together. I think this uniform would have been 10 times better if it was red and white instead of cream. But for those special occasion, I thought it was very nice nevertheless. And I also didn't care for this Detroit word mark above the logo. I wish the logo was a regular size front and center on this uniform. And I thought it was a very nice jersey for the occasion, but I'm glad that Detroit has never brought it back since. It's not my favorite uniform. But as I said before, great for an outdoor game, but not the best uniform ever made. And I definitely think that Detroit would have benefited from making this red and white. And as a uniform, though, it was a nice tribute, and I thought it was cool that Detroit came up with a faux back instead of trying a throwback, even though they really don't have much to throw back to be honest. But I thought it was a nice faux back anyway. But I wouldn't want to see it worn all the time, and I'm kind of glad that Detroit did not bring it back. But anyways, I'll move on. So now, this was the 2015 Winter Classic between Chicago and Washington, and this was actually my least favorite Winter Classic game. I have a couple reasons. The first reason is because, as much as I thought it was really cool that Washington decided to make a special faux back jersey to pay tribute to Washington's hockey history, I've never cared for this jersey. I thought that the striping on the shoulders was kind of neat, but I've never really liked it. The truth is, I really don't like the darker red and navy blue. And I also did not care for the fact that Washington decided to give their numbers on the back of this jersey the Stadium Series treatment from the 2013-14 season, where they stretched out the back numbers to make them more legible for fans in the stadium. I mean, I understand the method behind the madness when they did that, but it kind of took the vintage faux back charm of the jersey away. And I also didn't care for the number and letter font. And I just didn't like the dark red and navy blue. And I also didn't like that there were 2 stripes around the waist here, but there was nothing on the arms. And it kind of looked a little bit bare, if you ask me. And as for this Chicago jersey, I thought it was a nice jersey. All it is a slightly altered version of their road jersey. But nevertheless, that jersey's awesome, and so is this one. And did you know that Chicago actually wanted to wear this 50s throwback for the 2013-14 season Stadium Series game against the Pittsburgh Penguins? Actually, I heard that that was what Chicago really wanted to do. However, the NHL said that they wanted the Stadium Series to be about the teams trying new looks with chrome logos, which is a bit of a shame because this would have been way better than what they used in that game. But, you know, the reason why this is my least favorite match is because the truth is I've never cared for this jersey. I did not like the navy blue and dark red and the weird striping on the shoulders. But with the Chicago jersey, even though I thought it was a very nice jersey, I still do. My problem with it was that it wasn't anything new. It was just a slightly altered version of their road jersey. Okay, they moved the shoulder logo from the arms to from the shoulders to the arms and slightly recolored it. And they slightly changed the number and letter font on the jersey. And, okay, they added a lace-up collar. That's it. And, you know what? It still looks great, but the thing is, I wish they would have made it a little bit more different. And I think that it would have been a lot better if Chicago made it vintage white. Just to make it different enough from their road jersey because it's so similar. That's the only reason why I have always felt that Chicago should have made it vintage white instead of white. But nevertheless, it's still a great jersey, but the reason why I don't really like this Winter Classic matchup is because Chicago's jersey is practically a slightly altered version of their road jersey. And this one, I just don't like the colors, and I don't really care for the overall design of the jersey. But anyways, I'm going to move on. So, for the final Winter Classic game this past season between the Habs and Bruins, I thought this was a step up from this one. And I thought both jerseys were pretty good. However, I did not care for these rounded collars that Reebok came up with for this Winter Classic, especially because the NHL logo on the collar sticks out like a sore thumb. And even though I would have preferred lace-ups for this match, after seeing the rounded collars and these jerseys on the ice, I must say both jerseys have really grown on me. Though I wish Boston would have gone with an accurate 1924 throwback that actually was chocolate brown and gold, but that's not really a big deal. And as long as teams don't use those rounded collars too often, once in a while, they're not so bad. And I think that Boston really did a nice job of paying tribute to the 1924 jersey that they wore. That was actually their very first jersey. But as I look at this photo, I wish that Boston would have tried a chocolate brown jersey. I think it's kind of a shame and a bit of a missed opportunity that they didn't do that. But I still think it's a decent jersey nevertheless. And now that they've worn this jersey and the 2010 Winter Classic one, I think Boston should at least make this jersey their third jersey, because even this is a huge step up from their third jersey that they've been wearing since the 08-09 season. And even though I still think the gold jersey from 2010 is 10 times better than this one, at least this one would be a pretty good step up from the third jersey Boston's had for a long time now. And I did not like that the logo didn't have any vintage white trim on the Boston Bruins jersey, because it had the vintage white numbers on the arms and the back, but there was no vintage white on the front of the jersey. But anyways, that's a small nitpick on my part. But as for this Montreal jersey here, since Montreal doesn't have a lot of jerseys to choose from in their history, I thought this was a very nice throwback. But when it first came out, if you've watched any of my previous videos, I honestly did not care for it all that much. But after seeing it in this game, it really grew on me. And I thought it was really cool that Montreal also paid tribute to their 1924 jersey. And they did that by putting this globe logo on both arms. And the interesting thing is that they actually had a globe logo, as seen here, on the front of their jersey when they won the Stanley Cup in 1924. And I thought that was a great tribute. And I also really liked the logo on the front of this jersey. And if Montreal, as much as I think that Montreal doesn't need a third jersey because their home and away jerseys are so iconic, I think it would be cool if Montreal decided to wear this jersey 2 or 3 times a season as a throwback. And if they made it a third jersey, I would be all for it too, but I think for Montreal this would be better off as a special throwback jersey. And I think, to be honest, I will miss it if they don't bring it back next season. And I thought it was actually a pretty nice jersey. And same with Boston, though I still think the 2010 one was quite a bit better than this. But anyways, now I'm going to finish this video off with these next 2 Heritage Classic games that were played in 2011 and 2014. And I'll start off with the 2011 one between Calgary and Montreal. Now all Montreal did in this game was slightly change their numbers. Instead of having a white gap in them like they have since the mid-90s, they filled it in like they did back in when they won their last Stanley Cup in 1993. Now, when Montreal decided to put lace-ups on their jerseys this past 15-16 season, I was honestly really hoping that Montreal would have gone back to these full royal blue numbers with red trim, but they didn't, which was a little bit of a bummer in my opinion. And as for the Flames, if you're wondering why they're wearing Ronald McDonald-like clown suits here, it's because the Calgary Flames actually decided to pay tribute to a team called the Calgary Tigers that played back in the 1920s. And in this case, since it's a Heritage Classic, for the one game that they wore this uniform, as ugly as it is, I think it's an awesome tribute to the Calgary Tigers, and for the one game they wore it, I think it was alright. I just hope that Calgary never brings it back. And if they do, hopefully it's once in a very, very rare blue moon. Now, finally, for the first part of this 2-part video series here about the outdoor games and my thoughts on them, I'm going to finish with the Senators and Canucks back in the 2013-14 season. And I thought this was a beautiful jersey matchup. I absolutely love both jerseys. Now, I would not want to see the Millionaires throwback on the ice all the time. But once in a while, I think it's a great throwback. And I kind of wish the Canucks would wear it for the closest home game around Remembrance Day. I think that would be really cool if they did that, in my opinion. And the truth is, I actually love that logo. I love the simplicity of it. And I thought that was a great jersey, and I'm glad that they wore it for this game. And as for the Senators jersey, I absolutely love it. And I kind of wish they would make this their road jersey alongside the Heritage third jersey they have now. And I know a lot of people don't really care for this jersey and find the logo boring, which I do agree, but I think both of those as their home and away jerseys would be a huge step up from what they're wearing now. Even though I would be on board for something nice that featured a Roman general as the main logo, like they have had since the 92-93 season. But with Ottawa's Heritage jerseys, the black and vintage white one you see here, if Ottawa switched to them full-time, one thing that I think would be really cool is that Ottawa would be the only team in the NHL without a white road jersey, and I think it would be a nice change. But if Ottawa decided to go kind of towards the original Roman general theme that Ottawa had going when they first entered the NHL, I think that that could turn out really nice too. And I think most people would prefer that, and I think that would be quite nice if it was done right. And with that, that's it for the first part of my two-part video series where I have been taking a look back at all of the outdoor jerseys from the 03-04 season all the way up until this past 2015-16 season, and sharing my thoughts on all of the jerseys used in those games. However, do note that I only talked about the Winter and Heritage Classic jerseys in this video. And I've decided to make a part 2 that will only be about the Stadium Series jerseys, because if I made one video like I was planning on, it would be over 45 minutes in length. And I think it would be better to make two decent videos with a little bit of substance to them rather than one extremely long, extremely dragged out video. And with that, I do apologize if any of you viewers out there found this video to be a little bit on the long side, because it is over half an hour in length. And with that, until I get my second part of this series uploaded talking about all of the Stadium Series jerseys and my thoughts on those, as always, take care and bye for now.